May 13th, 1986, midst of World War III. My name is that of a war criminal. For now, you can call me Collector 662. I was forbidden to speak about my profession in any capacity. All of us were. We knew what would happen, that one final action that was supposed to unlock our deep-set fears of reprisal. There was no going off book. We were obedient, and we were silent. If we did what we were told, we were handsomely rewarded. Everything we could ever want. All we had to give in return was our compliance. So, why did I run away? It's a long story, one that I'll try to put into words here. No matter what I say though, it will never describe the full extent of what we did. That part of my life where I did some of the most terrifying, inhumane things a person could possibly do, and saw things that would mentally break a mind of stone, is desperately trying to be sealed away forever in the deepest corners of my being. It always breaks free and floats back to the surface, shaking me at the quick of everything that I was. I remember wishing that it would stop, but that was just wishful thinking. It would always be a part of me, whether I liked it or not. To be frank, I've been wanted for a couple of months now. These people don't want me silent, imprisoned, or even dead. It's a whole other reason that I'll get to. For someone in my position, you can never be too safe. You keep a low profile, stay away from public spaces, use fake names, and change your appearance. Most of all, you don't stop moving. Staying in one spot for long is a fucking death sentence. I've got a place to hold up in. They'll be here eventually, but I'll be long gone. Better yet, I'll be someone new. I'm going to tell you everything I know. How I became involved, what my job entailed, everything we did. I will be blunt. This is 100% unadulterated. It's the truth and nothing but the truth. There is no point in lying anymore. The world doesn't know what's happening, but soon they will. I hope you're still listening, but I'm not going to waste any more time. Here it is. Let's wind the clocks back to 1967. I was a young man. Of course, that fact alone perked Uncle Sam's ears up. I should have been in college working towards some sort of overall life achievement. Instead, I was plucked right off the street, alongside millions of other unfortunate souls, to go die in some bumfuck jungle. Now that I think back, it's not like it was a fucking surprise anyway. I'm an American man. Going to war is practically a rite of passage. See, I was at a point in life where a man has grown just enough to feel something for his country, but hasn't yet grown out of that mindset that it's a bunch of bullshit. It was rough, with a few close calls here and there. In Vietnam, the culture shock alone was a nightmare to deal with. That combined with the heat, the constant rain, all of the things that the enemy used as a weapon to grind us down mentally. It was a bad time. I remember being pretty low. It's not like we were getting any love back home. The news coverage and shit we got was nothing short of propaganda. They'd paint us to be the good guys, but we were the fucking bad guys in this war. Things like that take a toll on you, but not that much to do what we did. My squad was losing it. We were being torn apart from all sides, and all hope was gone. We went from being a ragtag group of go-getters to a single desperate mindset. Kill or be killed. That was our plan. We were doing whatever we had to do to survive. It didn't matter who or what they were. We'd fuck them up. We'd burn their homes and villages to the ground. We'd slaughter their families, and we'd make their own lives worse than death if we had to. I don't remember exactly how it began, or when it ended. I think the first person I saw die was a woman. A young woman around 24, 25 maybe. This younger kid shoved a whole Bowie knife down her throat. He pushed it in deep. Slowly, he inched it back out. And the woman was like a river. So much blood flowed out of her mouth. The look on his face was fucking terrifying, man. It was like he was in some strange, dreamlike state. His eyes were blacked out. His pupils huge and dilated to a fucking T. You know that look you get when you're high off your fucking mind? It was like that, but with a different sort of madness on his face. We had all seen that look before. It was our own. We were all fucked in the head after so much time. After that, it was a blur. All I remember was walking through the village, blacking out, then walking some more. I didn't give two shits. I was angry. I was sad. I had no more use for the world, and there was no way in hell that I'd go back to it. This was it. Death or nothing. Next thing I knew, I ended up in some field hospital. We caused quite a ruckus that night. Apparently, I was quite creative with my methods of torture and killing. The whole time, I was laughing like a lunatic. I wasn't sorry though. Of course, it was no surprise when they yelled and spat at me, threw me around a bit, and slung all sorts of creative insults my way. The doctors, nurses, even they all thought that I was done for. All I did was laugh though, even as one of my superiors punched me in the face, causing me to fall to the ground and cough up crimson shit. I was still cackling. My former squad and I lived what we thought was the rest of our days in a damp and dirty makeshift prison. None of us talked to one another. We didn't eat. We didn't sleep. We didn't even count the days with little tally marks on the walls. All of us were zombies, moping around in dazed and dreamlike states. Our brains had shut down completely. It was the first and only time I'd eaten a rat with a little knife I made from a broken off floor panel. I cut into the thing while it was still alive, peeling back the skin and muscle. I saw the juicy insides sloshing around. I sank my teeth in and devoured whatever I could. Diseases were the least of my worries. I was already a disease to the world anyway. With only a day left until our execution, there was a knock at the door. It slowly inched its way open, the first sunlight in ages pouring in. Our clothes were caked with dirt and grime. Our hair went down to our shoulders and itched with bugs, and we were skeletons draped in thin skin. We huddled back against the walls as two gentlemen walked in. The first was the general, acting all smug with the cigar nearly falling out of his mouth. The second was a middle-aged man with a black suit and tie, sunglasses and fedora. He was painfully thin, almost as thin as us. We heard them speak in hushed murmurs to one another. They passed each other all sorts of documents and files. At one point, the general glared at each of us with a look of utter disdain and hatred, but also like he was running a thought through his mind. He turned back to the other man, saying, "Now, are you sure?" The other man let out a small chuckle. "General, trust me, they'll be put to good use." Breathing a hefty sigh, the general shook his head and promptly left our cell, leaving us alone with this stranger. He stepped closer, and we stepped back. It looked like he was analyzing us, sizing us up, figuring out everything that we were. His smile was sadistic, and his eyes were full of mania. I wanted to punch him in the face so hard that he would be a vegetable for the rest of his life. With that aside, I still listened, curious as to what he had in store for us. "My name is Dr. Alexander Graves," he began. "I understand you're responsible for the massacre at Dangming. Your execution is to be carried out tomorrow at the crack of dawn." No one said anything. "I don't particularly feel like wasting your time, so I'll be blunt. You're the absolute worst pieces of shit. You did the worst things you could have possibly done. And to what end? You caused death, civilian death, and not only that." He gazed at my former squad leader, who couldn't keep his hands to himself, and then back to the rest of us. "You should have taken those bullets for yourself." In hindsight, this was stupid of me to say. "We did what we had to do," I said, my mouth opening for the first time in who knows how long. "No," Alexander shook his head, stifling a laugh. "You did what you wanted to. You chose to make yourself more powerful, killing and mutilating those weaker and defenseless than you. You're animals, but that doesn't mean you have to go to waste." Our former squad leader interrupted. "What the hell are you talking about?" "See, my friends and I have a mission. Been working on it for as long as I can remember. In Antarctica, a special place is being constructed. Right now, the government is in the dark about its true intentions, thinking that we're testing products for their wars. No, we're really trying to expand upon science itself. We're We're trying to create weapons for the future. What we want to use, though, are not just any weapons. They're weapons of flesh and blood, man-made beasts designed to kill. The former squad leader's face contorted in disgust. Look, I don't know what kind of shit you're talking about, but I know I don't want to be a part of this. You aren't the government. We don't owe you shit. Yes, you do, Alexander said. Your superiors have already approved it. If you refuse, you've basically given them the go-ahead to come and kill you. This isn't a chance for you to atone for your sins. Frankly, there's no redemption for you. But if this is who you are, then so be it. Join me, and you can unleash yourselves like never before. This is what you want, right? I guarantee you, this isn't like anything you've seen. The more he spoke, the more we realized that he might actually have a point. We were assholes, the lowest of the low. We didn't have anything to lose. For us, this was a real opportunity. None of us knew what Alexander meant, and it seemed like crazy talk. But if we could finally let loose, unleash our darkest desires on something or someone, then so be it. This was a chance to be part of something greater. We agreed. May 16. 2 unknown vehicles were parked outside my safe house. I felt it necessary to gather my belongings and make my escape. I'm held up in an abandoned factory. It shouldn't be long until they're here again. Luckily, I've got several escape points. Hopefully, it'll be enough. I neglected to mention this new war. A couple months ago, there was a false flag operation in Cuba, intending to paint America like the aggressors. A few things led to another, and lo and behold, we're at war again. Surprise, surprise, it's with Russia. Both countries have nukes. So far, no one's used them yet. We're not going to, at least not yet. The world is going to get a rude awakening soon. It's going to be the end of the world as we know it. Not for the reasons one might think, however. I soon came to realize that my former squad and I were just a small drop in the endless sea of inhuman wrongness. There were hundreds of us, recruited from all over the world. We trained for years to become collectors. Who we worked for was multiple choice. I never learned what they truly called themselves. It was some ancient alien language I couldn't ever hope to understand. For the purposes of what they stood for, we'll call them Project VR-001. They had a mission, you see, one that could take advantage of an ongoing man-made conflict foretold to bring about the death of humanity from generations past. That false flag operation in Cuba? The reason why the world is in shambles? Why the world's 2 strongest countries are clamoring to be the ones on top, even if the rest of the world is dead and buried? We did that. That chain reaction that had the exacting effect we craved. Maybe humanity could just do it themselves. If not, then we'll step in. Why? Why would we want all this chaos? Well, Project VR-001 was all about bringing the death of humanity. All so new dominant life forms can rule. There was some cult-like group at the top that were trying to unleash some ancient prophecy that told them exactly how to do this. A prophecy that they've had for centuries. It's a prophecy in which humanity has to die so that a new dominant life form will arise to take our place. And with that new race of gods, there will be a new golden age where everything is done the right way, where only those worthy of being in this higher plane will live. Before I go, let me say that there are things in this world that the common man can never hope to understand. Things that have no right to exist. People try to gain some logical high ground that they created in their minds with what they call facts, logic, and common sense. They explain the weird and mysterious ways with big words and long drawn-out explanations that make their followers go, ooh and ah, denying every notion that there's anything else beyond that because it's not realistic enough for their own liking. Project VR-001 would laugh in their faces. For them, plain boring old science wouldn't suffice. They had to go deeper. Those unspeakable rituals they used, tapping into the unknown, looking beyond the veil, bending and breaking the rules of reality to their liking. We blended it all into one noxious mixture. It gave everything. We created life like never before. But we weren't going to stop there. These were some of the most brilliant minds of this world. Minds that should have never been allowed to think. To create these things, what we needed was pure organic material. Blood, skin, bone, muscle, tissue, guts, nerves. Just walking meat of all kinds. I was part of one of many teams who provided that. Project VR001 didn't want fake synthetic nonsense. These things were real. We couldn't just manufacture the required meat ourselves, so they'd get us to round up a victim. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that humanity is a resource to be tapped into, and it's one that goes to waste when it's not taken advantage of. We had a variety of methods for our job, ranging from the subtle to violent. After abduction and injection of the chemical that made them go nighty-night, they'd be transported to the base in Antarctica. We didn't just deal with live humans though. It could be any living creature. You know, you had your rabbits, your foxes, your deer, your dogs, your cats, you name it. I could only imagine people's faces when their beloved pets were gone. We'd get as many live ones as we could. They're in a better condition anyway. The better the condition, the better the quality of flesh that you get. All of our subjects, humans or otherwise, were kept in cages or crates. Until we had all we needed. Sometimes we had to put humans and animals together. Lots of accidents. You can probably imagine the smell. Rancid, stinking, stale. So many people, so many animals, in such a cramped space. I've never smelled anything worse in my life. Even I smelled better as a prisoner of war. But really, the only thing worse was the noise. It was a dreadful cacophony of suffering between all of our permanent residents. The humans made the most noise. They yelled, they cried, a lot of them pissed and shat themselves. And the children, oh boy the children, they would never shut the fuck up. Usually, they were the first in line to get some modicum of peace and quiet. The animals were always none the wiser to their fates. And before they knew it, it was time. To be honest, I never knew the exact process required to create them. It was only for the scientists, bioengineers, and other fucks behind those closed doors to know, and for us, the measly collectors and the cattle to the slaughter if anything went haywire, to never find out. Our only job at that point was to throw them inside and leave, maybe guard the door if some parent tried to be a hero and save their kid. However, we did get to see the end products. Initially, when we were still in the early testing phases, most of our creations were hybrids. Cats with foxes, pigs with wolves, humans with dogs, you get the point. A lot of them died a few minutes into their new lives. If an experiment failed, I and a few others had to go in and retrieve them. Their bodies were a mess, contorted into unnatural shapes and sizes. Their guts had melted together or spilled out in pools of fluids. Their skin would either be stretched, different colors like patchwork ice cream, or gone altogether. Sometimes they just lay there, their bodies still and lifeless. Every now and again, their dead eyes would open up, as if to mock us, their keepers, for wasting our time with something so foul and which yielded no results. Yeah, our job was to dispose of them. Some survived though, and they were used as a basis for moving forward. With time, we got better and better. The scientists still counted each failure as a victory. They would study and evaluate the results of the experiments, taking everything into account and trying to replicate the results if they were beneficial. If the experiments didn't go well, they would try to figure out what went wrong and attempt to fix it. Through trial and error, they got better at it. We are able to progress to totally new and original creatures. Some of them you couldn't even tell what they originally were anymore. You'd have to go in with your own eyes to truly understand what we were dealing with. They were imbued with the desire to kill, but they were also impervious to any outside harm, essentially invincible. Rapidly, they would evolve and mutate in any way they needed. Even if you blew them to smithereens, they would still find a way to come back. Let's just say no human could be in the same room as them without being torn to shreds. Sometimes we'd watch them fight, which wasn't a problem since they couldn't die. You could see the stress building and exploding out of them at all times. I'm going to describe some of them, not all. They created tens of hundreds of them, and as I record this, there's more to come. I don't have all day, so here are some notes on the ones that made an impact on me. Subject 9. A 9-foot-tall bipedal rat. Once an ordinary street rat. Long snout, floppy diluted tongue, large ears, expanded eyes, muted pink tail, razor-sharp teeth and claws, gray fur, skinny and bony, makes high-pitched squeaks, hisses, screams, chattering of the teeth, and howls. Horrendous stench, mix of roadkill, raw sewage and old cheese. Extremely feral, will attack absolutely anything, can tunnel underground at astonishing speeds, carries diseases like rabies, typhus, leprosy, bubonic plague, and cholera. Subject 18. A humanoid, once a little girl named Johanna, tall, about 11 feet, smooth inky black skin, no scent, has 2 large flap-like ears, long and gangly limbs that can change length at will. Various eyes cover its body, unable to blink, extraordinarily patient, capable of waiting years, hypnotic gaze, puts victims into a trance, a form of paralysis, mimics voices and sounds, like a hush, and are higher pitched than they should be, can go without sustenance for months. Project 25. A 5-foot-tall bat-like creature, once a fruit bat caught in India, rather small compared to the others. Gray ashy body, 2 eyes, huge black pupils, short snout, razor-sharp fangs, tall ears, 2 flexible wings, long span, feet with sharp tails, able to hang upside down, makes low-pitched roars and hisses, nocturnal, ambush predators. Subject 66. A humanoid, once a mentally ill patient named Richard Neller. Exceptionally pale skin, black hair, large black eyes, black lips, wide open mouth with teeth and gums protruding outwards, like a maniacal grin. Never stops laughing, ever. Extremely strong, able to break down doors and walls, can throw cars, able to perform incredible feats of agility. When inflicted with damage, it makes an extremely eerie screaming noise. Mouth elongates and pupils enlarge, contorts into unnatural positions. Subject 81. A large canid, almost humanoid. Once a guard dog, long snout, big ears, blackened eyes that do not move, always in the middle. Sharp jagged teeth, tongue is long and floppy, dripping black substance. A long tail, black fur, loud howling, vicious, will never give up. Limb manipulation and reattachment. Subject 104. A humanoid, once a teenager named Grant Buckner, 9 feet tall, gangly limbs, long torso, a disproportionately narrow skull, a pair of 2 small eyes, long and twisted claws for fingers, an extremely small mouth, a single claw for a tongue, high metabolism, will eat absolutely anything, even inanimate objects, never stops eating. Subject 333. An artificial sentient supercomputer housing all of Project VR-001's top secret files and documents. Once one of Project VR-001's own Kenneth Waterford, top scientist that betrayed his own, released files quickly contained, and in an iconic twist of fate, became Project VR-001's guardian against breaches from external parties. The image provided is not all of them, just one of his many vessels. There are so many more, but you get the picture. Maybe I've had time to correct my mistakes. I'll tell you this, they were never mistakes to begin with. I knew what I was doing. Does that make me the bad guy? Yes. Yes, it does. At the same time though, I felt like something was breaking inside me. No, it wasn't as if I was suddenly growing a conscience and morals. It was more like I was a shell, If I didn't care about Vietnam, I most certainly didn't care now. The would-be subjects screaming for help, their sad puppy dog eyes staring back at me. In me, there was nothing. I didn't even have moments of hesitation. I wasn't some underdog who tried to step up to the big mean villains in an act of selfless heroics. I didn't give a shit about that. By this point, I had lost my mind completely. Again, I was angry. At who? I don't know. Project VR001? My fellow collectors? The creatures? The world? I didn't shoot up the place. I didn't kill Alexander or any of the other hit honchos up top. This wasn't some action movie. I just ran. I had nowhere to go. But it felt so good. Like a weight off my shoulders. The snow had picked up, but I didn't care. I ran until I couldn't anymore. What I did do was climb aboard one of the cargo ships that came by every now and again. I just thought, fuck it, and hopped on. Being a collector all this time, I received the necessary training to become practically invisible. That's what I did. Somehow, no one ever found me. I rode out the huge waves and terrifying storms. When we finally arrived in America, I hopped off. I've laid low ever since. Are you expecting me to be a hero here? Warn the whole world of Project VR001? Expose their activities? Lead a resistance to try and take them down? Why would I do that? It's all pointless exercises. I'm just telling you what I experienced and how I feel about it. Maybe I should have stayed, but something was compelling me to break free. I'm so conflicted. I don't want to break free. I don't think I'm gonna be on my best behavior for long. There's literally nothing we can do to stop Project VR001. Don't even bother trying to kill their creations. You can't. They'll mutate, evolve into forms unknown to nature itself. Nukes won't do anything. In fact, they might just speed up the process. A global catastrophe is coming. It's not a matter of if, but when. As humans, we like to think we're invincible, that we can take anything on. But there are things in this world, in this universe, that humble us, make us look tiny, like little insects. We're nothing. You, me, we're completely and utterly nothing. They're tracking me every which way. In fact, those same 2 cars from 3 days ago just parked outside. I'm seeing 4 collectors get out. I remember them all. 46, 880, 232, and 78. And I know exactly what they want to do to me. All I can say is, keep your loved ones close. Hug them tight. Tell them how much you love them. Personally, I don't have anyone to love. I'm pretty much alone in that fact though. Something's coming. A conflict unlike anything the world has ever seen before. No one's prepared. It seems like the last chapter of humanity is now. Sometimes, back in Antarctica, when I was walking past all those awful creatures, I just stop and stare at them. For some reason, that made me feel a connection to them. No matter how different we were, separated by bulletproof glass and barbed wire, they and I were at least on the same wavelength. Pain is all we know. I've tried committing suicide. I can't, though. Not that I don't want to. It's just that I can't. I don't want to stay alive. Something's stopping me. Death is waiting for me. But it seems like he'll have to keep waiting. The entries of hit researcher, observer, patriarch, and glorious leader into the dear future, Dr. Alexander Graves. March 20, 1971. Did I ever dream of the day in which we would be truly united as a world? What a silly question. Of course I did. I mean, don't we all? It was never as if my dreams were too far-fetched, unable to be accomplished in a single lifetime. All I wanted was to show that there was a better way, one in which all that was needed was an ideology of unity, a common goal and common truth. My dream was just that, simple, but I also knew it's very complex. The way I saw it was to be unified in the search for what makes humanity humanity. It goes beyond the things we can see and the things we can hear. It goes beyond your own kind. People like to propagate the notion that the world is a mess and that nothing can be done to save it. Even if something goes slightly awry, it's the end of the world as we know it. To me, that's a giant cancer that keeps growing and growing and growing. It needs to be cut off before it consumes everything there is. What's with all the fear-mongering? Why not embrace what we have and what we will have? In my conferences with those men, I made sure my words were as smooth as silk. I spoke prettily but plainly. You'd be surprised at how much you can accomplish with the right amount of balance in the words you utter. Of course, these weren't simple, honest men. You had your presidents, your prime ministers, your monarchs, your generals, all from the same highly exclusive club. I fronted as the head of the South Project, which to them was earth-shattering. Weapons manufacturing, all the guns, bombs, and artillery you can shake a stick at. We were neutral, non-partisan, just some guys with some money, wanting to get the best bang for our buck. We made sure to keep our mouths shut. We were weapons manufacturers for the good guys and the bad guys. It wouldn't have mattered. It was all the same. As long as everyone was paying their bills on time and the price was right, we'd be happy to do business. To make a long story short, they were eager to oblige. That was 2 years ago already. Of course, we have our own agenda to play around with. I call it Project VR001 or Project Venerate a Revolutionary. That's us. The 001 is for our first inquiry into the new way of life. Am I a liar? Yes, I am. But I'm a firm believer of the ends justifying the means. We're not looking to build guns or bombs or artillery. We're looking to bring the world together. We want to break down the barriers, smash the walls, and bring the people together into one gigantic melting pot. When I mean bringing people together though, I'm not talking about one big brotherhood of man. I'm talking about the end of this chapter, and not just humanity, but the animal kingdom in its entirety. Our goal is to create, through biological manipulation, hybridization, and mutation, a truly new dominant race. We're not exactly sure what that'll be yet, but the process is underway. We should be good to go in a few years. November 18, 1975. We have our own little operation down here in Antarctica. This is one of the most expensive projects in history. Money has never been an issue though. Our friends in the States, Britain, Germany, Russia, China, Australia, they keep us on our feet. We do our fair share of weapon supplying, and no one bats an eye. There is nothing suspicious about it. And after all, Antarctica is the one true neutral place on Earth. There are a number of people here, those involved with research, development, and security. I've even created an elite group within our rank, and I call them my collectors. They're all in training, but they'll serve a very special purpose. I'm quite fond of them. Every collector will be very good at what they do. Outsiders will think they're just a bunch of lowly goons working for a weapons company. It almost brings a tear to my eye. What was once a mad idea in the heads of a few is now becoming a reality. The entire world will see Project VR001, the beautiful life we create. For now, we're focused on smaller things, building our labs, testing our equipment, training, preparing ourselves for what's to come. I'm very proud of what we've accomplished so far. Of course, there are many obstacles ahead of us, but it's time to take those obstacles head on. We will work as a team. There is no room for selfishness. We will always put the good of the project first. For the foreseeable future, this is where I'll be staying, with my new family. I'll be spending the rest of my life right here, in the belly of the earth. No need to travel, at least until the time is right. I have to keep writing though, keep everything fresh. I may need to refer to these in the future. They keep me thinking. June 6, 1978. We've been having some difficulties, but it's nothing to worry about. Rome wasn't built in a day. I foretold there being some kinks to work out. Certain mutations and transformations are not occurring as we have planned. Some subjects are dying on the spot. We can't have that. Our first, the very first, was a convict from Brazil, a criminal, a thief. His name was Francisco Correia. He's dead now. He just couldn't take the heat. I'm not exactly sure if it was his own physiology or his soul, if he wasn't strong enough physically or mentally. I'll never know. A few weeks ago, we finally created a beautiful thing. Well, we thought we did. We were so proud. He was Subject 1, the most unrealistically realistic creature there could have possibly been. A mix between man and dog. His coat was a light gray, his nose a dusky brown like leather. He had large round eyes, and his teeth were sharp. His legs were long, and he could contort and bend into so many different shapes. It was amazing. But one night, his new heart gave out. He just keeled over and died, shaking violently, some kind of white liquidy substance pouring out of his snout. And it keeps happening, and happening, and happening. This isn't supposed to be unrealistic anymore. I don't understand what we're doing wrong. We've been very thorough in our work. I feel like I'm being punished. Where's that greater power staring me down? Do the gods of the past, the gods of the old, the gods of creation and destruction frown upon my work? I've never believed in the gods, but I'm beginning to have my doubts. October 18, 1978. I'm sorry. For the last few months, I've been drinking. I'm not talking about the occasional beer here and there. I mean Alcoholics Anonymous and rehab type drunk. I've been going on my own personal, private little spree. You know, the more I drink, the more I realize what a genius I really am. I can make so many things happen, things that can't be explained, at least to our own rational mind. I've spent so many years searching for that unifying theory, but I keep on failing. It's because I've never gone about it in the right way. I know what I can accomplish. I just need a little help. Do you believe in occultism? Or at least the possibility that there's more than meets the eye? When I say occultism, I don't mean the witch or wizard characters of the past. I mean the true nature of the universe, what our ancestors refer to as gods and spirits, but is really the truth of everything, the real laws of reality. We all want to be closer to those things. That's why people go to temples, churches, mosques, and shrines. Those who are skeptical are just afraid to believe in something more. Feelings of doubt and uncertainty are always just in your head. The heart is a different story. It's always yearning to be something better. I don't need to convince anyone of anything. I'm just going to show everyone what is truly beautiful. We will all be beautiful together. It's all there is. I know what I want. It's what we've all wanted since the beginning of time. I'm going to be a god. I know that I can be one of the beautiful ones, an immortal, all-powerful, and a part of everything. I know that I will be the greatest thing that has ever been. The world, all of it, will be beautiful. I will take us there. On June 4th, 1980. We did it. I can feel the change in the air. We've broken the boundaries. We've surpassed what people thought was impossible. Subject 9 is living and breathing, not dying in a heap on the floor. The collectors brought in the rat from guess where? New York City, of course. Rat Central. It was a runty, emaciated thing, but not for long. You'd be surprised at the rate at which this beautiful creature grows. I'm sure everyone's pleased with themselves. It is my first beautiful creature to achieve real immortality. Of course, it's impossible for it to die. Its mind may say yes, but its body will say no. The body will fix itself in ways unseen by nature, mutate for its survival. It'll be with us for some time now. Many others have already received the same treatment. Already, we're in the hundreds. They're all manners of shapes and sizes, and can do so many wonderful things. Subject 9 carries all sorts of diseases. Subject 18 can put people into a trance. Subject 32 is a walking inferno. Subject 111 can spray pus out of his pores. And get this, Subject 489 loves to crawl into any available orifice and release a viscous, pervading liquid that decays the host from the inside out. One time, I saw the newborn in her cocoon for what seemed like hours, but what was only a few minutes. I saw her writhing around. I saw her screaming and crying. I saw her limbs and wings sprout, her fur and flesh grow. I saw her form. I saw her change. I was in the most beautiful moment in my life, and it's all thanks to my friends, the gods. Isn't it great? I did run into a problem when one of my scientists, Dr. Waterford, tried to seize our files and release them to the public. I couldn't fathom for the life of me why he would do such a thing. He was good, and I was good to him. One day he just broke? Well, what good would executing him have done? I like to take whatever I can get. If he wanted our files so bad, then so be it. He'd become our files. August 31st, 1983. These past few years, a thought has been at the forefront of my mind. What if there was a catalyst? See, this is the era we live in. Back in '62, everyone made a hissy fit about a couple of missiles in Cuba. Then it just ended, and people moved on. Everyone said it was going to be the end of the world. Vietnam's over. It's done. Except, it isn't. There are all these tiny little conflicts that keep springing up in the area. How could something so small start something so big? Yet something so big start something so small. I want my own Vietnam. Except, bigger. All our lives, we've grown up with the threat of another world war. Everyone remembers hunkering down in their classes, being threatened with the thought of some hypothetical, belligerent plane dropping a huge bomb on their little suburban existences. What if that plane really did drop that bomb? What if humanity did all the work for me? I'm now the largest weapons manufacturer in the world. Everyone would buy weapons from me. In fact, they already are. I will say, it was much easier than I thought. December 30th, 1986. So get this. So back in March, one of my collectors, Daniel Morse, escaped, right? There weren't any bullets exchanged. No high-speed chase on the open snow-covered desert. Nothing. He just vanished without a trace. There is no such thing as without a trace. Everyone leaves something behind. Now that I think about it, Morse did seem off here and there. Not rebellious, just different. He was in a whole other dimension than the rest of his colleagues. One time, I saw him just walk up to Subject 77's cage, placed his head against the chain link, and just stare at the creature in there. 77 tried to intimidate him, but Morse just wasn't having it. My collectors are trained well, maybe a little too well. He did cover his tracks. It was exceedingly difficult to pinpoint his location. I was persistent though. It's my biggest attribute after all. Some of my collectors went out to find him. Apparently, Morse shot 2 of them dead and fled the scene. Alas, nobody's perfect. Morse was ambushed, and though he escaped once more, collectors 46 and 232 brought back something very interesting. It began with, "My name is that of a war criminal. For now, you can call me Collector 662. I knew what this was the second I got the word criminal. He talked all about how he wanted to die, how there wasn't a point in fighting back, and most importantly, how he wasn't going to do anything about it. People like to call me a liar. Wait until you get a load of this. Morse did fight back. It was like one of those Hollywood action movies they used to make. Judging from our surveillance, some woman his age named Melinda came into his life. She inspired him. They grew closer. They tried to expose me and Project VR-001, and they let some unfortunate, misguided souls in their mission, and they failed. Their plan was to use a special bomb they constructed to blow up our black site. It would be a huge explosion and contained some sort of strange compound that would supposedly kill all my subjects permanently. God, it makes me laugh even now. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I hate doing that. Their numbers were either gone down or taken by my beautiful children. I blew Melinda's brains out. And Morse? Let's just say I have another child. My 500th, and I'll make sure to punish it accordingly. It's really Melinda's fault if you think about it. Anyways, with whatever that was out of the way, my friends and I think that it's time. Still no nukes. You have to do everything yourself, huh? October 1st, 1987. This is the last. Here's the plan. I don't want to just unleash all of my children out into the world all willy-nilly. Where's the fun in that? I have something better. So, I've already arranged for a weapons demonstration to be conducted between the President of the United States and the General Secretary of Russia. Remember, I'm neutral, non-partisan. I've been supplying weapons to these fucks since the beginning. They have to play nice, and they probably think that whoever bids higher will get their weapons of the future. But instead, it's time. I will ascend. Goodbye. Aftermath. On October 15th, 1987, the President of the United States and the General Secretary of the Soviet Union, as well as their associates and some top military generals, gathered in Antarctica for the supposed weapons demonstration. Seated inside the black site, yet still chilled to the bone, huddled in their parkas and furred boots, they waited patiently for the reveal of the weapons of the future. When Alexander spoke the words, "And now, I give you the weapons of the future," and the rusted metal doors rose up into the ceiling, the President of the United States, the General Secretary of the Soviet Union, the top military generals, their smiles suddenly dropped. Unable to die and equipped to mutate as needed, some of Alexander's children swam hundreds upon thousands of miles to land, while others flew. Some were even airdropped. Quickly, chaos began to spread as these alien terrors began to wreak havoc against the world, killing anything in their path in various grotesque ways. Humanity quickly began working together for the first time in 5 years. They turned the war effort against the creatures and attempted multiple methods to fight back, but to no avail. The subjects continued to mutate over long stretches of time and emit intense amounts of radiation, causing entire areas to be uninhabitable. Though some managed to escape, these survivors began to grow tumors and lumps, get pustules, and even more horrible, get limbs and organs and even entire heads and faces to sprout and grow from unnatural locations. Nature itself was working against these people. Finally, in an oh so desperate bid, the first nuclear bomb in decades was dropped on the city of Berlin. This only strengthened the subjects, though it was maddeningly insisted on more being dropped. Effectively, these moves decimated large swaths of land, leaving immense fallout and nuclear winter in their wake. On June 14th, 1989, at approximately 10:02 p.m., the last survivor on Earth, Cassie M. Berger, 16, after being backed into a corner, ripped off his gas mask and ran into the horde of subjects in a fit of mania. He was rapidly mutated in a fraction of a second and was devoured in even less time. Alexander Graves remained alive, alone in what used to be Francisco Correia's cell. He injected himself with a syringe containing a special reactant. With a smile etched across his face, he began to mutate. It is so difficult to even fathom the possibilities that lie ahead of us.